Tanya, we're not exempt because while we see all the action on the East Coast, we've got a big low pressure system. How it will affect our travel in the 4 states coming up from the Skywatch Weather Center.
Also, a new study reveals a surprisingly high number of Americans spend the pandemic getting fit.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
A 4-state man is charged with a double murder in Fort Scott. This is KOAM News at noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Topping our first 7 minutes, prosecutors file first-degree murder charges for the December 21st deaths of 48-year-old Melissa Mitchell and 53-year-old Leonard Zimmerman, who were both found dead in their home. Police had taken Melissa's 23-year-old son, Dawson Mitchell, into custody, holding him on unrelated charges. He's now officially charged with 2 counts of murder in the first degree and a number of other charges. You can read more on this ongoing investigation on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Well, thousands of Americans are still trying to get home after the holidays amid major COVID and weather delays. A winter storm is pushing through Washington, D.C. right now, forcing more flight cancellations today. Now, this follows a storm that dumped a half a foot of snow on Chicago and other parts of the Midwest over the weekend. On Sunday, more than 2,700 flights were canceled, along with more than 9,000 delays. It was a similar picture on Saturday. Chicago's O'Hare Airport was the worst affected on Sunday, with more than 500 flights, almost half of those scheduled, canceled or delayed. The travel chaos comes as the industry struggles with staffing shortages brought on by increasing COVID infections. Hundreds of bags lined up at Denver International Airport due to a lack of ground crews, with an offer from Southwest to pay passengers a travel credit if they picked up their bags and return hours later. Now, the COVID staffing shortages have extended to air traffic control towers, with the FAA saying traffic volumes may be reduced at some airports to maintain safety. JetBlue already announced it's canceling a number of flights over the next 2 weeks to ease some of the pressure. Well, that wild weather could be the story here in the 4 states later this week. Michael Hayslip joins us.
We've got about 3 days, Tanya, but don't think we're exempt to everything that's moving through, because while we concentrated on the new year, starting with the weather off the Great Lakes right there in Chicago, and they're accustomed to that, as is the Mid-Atlantic up to the East Coast, where they not only have snow but thunderstorms, our attention needs to turn to the Pacific Northwest of all places. So as we take a look at what Tanya was talking about, just a mess up here with snow in the higher elevated areas. They even had thunderstorm warnings earlier this morning. But what we need to look at is a low pressure system that's moving in off the Pacific Northwest, because it doesn't look impressive right now. But as this gathers and makes its way with the jet stream over the Rockies, we're going to have a little bit of a mess on our hands come Thursday morning. A far cry from what we see right now outside of Television City. Absolutely gorgeous, with temperatures finally pushing just above the freezing mark. Not a whole lot of difference between that and what we'd see at 32, but at least we're headed in the right direction, to the point where we'll make it up into the 40s this afternoon. Big wind is going to pick up from the south, and what that does, keeps our overnight temperatures right at, if not just above, the freezing point. But by the time we get into the 7-day forecast, this is what we're looking at. Tanya, that is our magic day right there. Early Thursday morning, coming up here in just a little bit. We'll check out low pressure now developing on the Pacific Northwest and see what role it plays in our morning commute when I see you in just a bit.
All right, thanks, Michael. Well, icy conditions over the weekend led to a semi-truck losing control and crashing into a house in Fort Scott. It happened on Saturday just after 4:30 p.m. According to the report, the truck ran off the road, crashed into a pickup truck parked in a driveway, and then crashed into a home at 1415 State Street. Responders took a passenger of the semi-truck to Via Christi with serious injuries. No one else was injured in the crash. The Lawrence County, Missouri coroner investigates after a man is found dead in Aurora, apparently due to extreme frostbite. 911 caller found the man on Highland Road near a tree stand on the property, which was owned by his family. He was taken to Mercy Hospital, where he later died from his injuries. Officials say they do not suspect foul play. Last week, we told you about plans for Lincoln Heights, a proposed tiny community in Joplin for homeless people. Despite good intentions, the city said the warming center was a no-go Friday night. The site at the old botany shop in Joplin was meant to offer shelter as temperatures drop. Volunteers said they were told There were some issues with the building and Joplin's Code of Ordinance. Well, local artist in Pittsburgh is giving four-state residents the chance to learn a new skill this year. On Sunday, Diane Miller hosted the first of many classes in a series aimed to teach people to make stained glass. The course spans over multiple weeks and will teach folks to make stained glass art. And at the end, they get to take home a completed glass panel to display. Participants learned not only new skills, but also gained new connections.
I think the camaraderie of the group, most of these people didn't know each other before they came. And also I think that they're learning a new skill, which is great. You know, learning helps keep the brain active, which we all need at any age.
First class was on January 2nd, but anyone who missed out can join a makeup class scheduled for this Saturday. That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at noon, why hundreds of thousands of Americans and the British used their free time during the pandemic to get healthy. And later, we're making carrot cake overnight oats in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. As many of us contemplate hitting the gym this year, British researchers, along with scientists from the Zoe COVID symptom app, found something surprising about folks who avoided gaining weight during the pandemic. CBS's Ian Lee reports.
When COVID shut everything down, Lily Hutchinson had time on her hands.
I really actually used that time in the pandemic to just exercise as much as I could.
With gyms closed across the UK, she biked at home until they reopened.
Welcome to your Wednesday Athletica session. I'm Amber, this is Kim.
Amber Nakamura taught classes online until she was back in her London studio.
So we've definitely seen a much wider group of people coming in.
She also noticed many newcomers shared something in common.
I think that probably scared and motivated a lot to just get in, work on their fitness levels, try to improve their overall health.
These stories aren't unique. In the world's largest nutrition study, with nearly 1 million volunteers in the US and UK, researchers saw something they didn't expect during the pandemic.
What's really surprising is our research showed that for a large proportion of the population, it was actually an impetus to get healthier.
Scientists found 32% of participants pushed themselves, losing an average of nearly 9 pounds. 33% ate more fruits and vegetables, while 22% snacked less.
The people that started off before the pandemic with the least healthy diet and lifestyle behaviors went on to lose weight rather than gain weight, to improve their diet, to increase their physical activity, and to improve their sleep habits.
Lily also noticed more than a physical change.
The mental rewards I get from it after are just beyond worth it.
The pandemic giving some the time to focus on getting fit, both physically and mentally. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
Not everyone went on a health kick, though. While nearly a third of participants lost weight, researchers found about the same amount of people gained more than 7 pounds. Still to come on the KOAM News at noon, Mr. Food.
We've got a trendy new breakfast that's taking the world by storm. It's super easy, very different, and it's served in a bowl.
But first, Michael Hayslip returns with your complete forecast.
Happy New Year to all of you watching the KOAM News at noon. And if you got family or friends that are not traveling, Tanya brought us the latest earlier. Or maybe you're trying to get out of the 4 states and get back home. That's going to be a little bit problematic here for the next couple of days. So I want to pay attention to each coast that we have going on. We've got a mess from the mid-Atlantic all the way up to the northeastern portion of the United States, as well as a low pressure system that's actually going to affect us here on the latter half of the week up in the Pacific Northwest right now. So as we go to the old misery map, compliments of our friends at FlightAware, if we pay attention to New York City and DC, whether it be Reagan, Dulles, JFK, LaGuardia, you name it, look at the amount of delays. When you see the red right there, that means nothing is getting in nor getting out. And also, too, of note, look up here in Seattle and Tacoma. That is also problematic. And so what that does is obviously creates a logjam throughout the entire airport system. Now, here over the 4 states, it's absolutely gorgeous. We've got blue skies, albeit cool temperatures. 37 degrees is where we stand right now over 7th and Rangeline, with a wind chill still in effect. Only feels like it's 32. Watch that humidity drop down there. It'll be down around 40% later this afternoon, but eventually we'll make it up into the 40s. It is nice to see that we've gotten above the freezing mark so far. Skywatch storm tracker clear as a bell for us. As a matter of fact, you take a look at the entire Midwest region around us, you're hard-pressed to find even cloud cover, never mind precipitation, an indicator that we've got big high pressure surrounding us, which is going to be replaced by a low pressure system that we were talking about in the Pacific Northwest. Now that doesn't look too impressive right now. You go, oh, what's that hanging out up there? Well, by the time it gets all said and done, remember the darker red that you get, the lower the pressure is. And so if we come out here and let's just say we were to circle, I'll say that about right there. And if it were to expand, and then if it were to say go, I'll say about right there, yeah, that system is going to get bigger. It's going to pick up more Gulf moisture, and it's going to head toward us. And so what that will do is after it gets over the Rockies, that thing is going to stay as snow. That's going to be problematic for us come Thursday. Now, I do want to point this out. What we're talking about are model indicators of what's to come. I'm not going to say right now, as we sit at 12:15 on Monday, that this is going to be exact, but I want everybody on their toes. So let's talk about Monday and Tuesday first. Sunny skies this afternoon, temperatures up into the low 40s, just a little bit below normal from where we'd be. And then tonight, our wind picks up. That's not necessarily a bad thing, because that will do is bring us temperatures that jockey right around that freezing point. It's not going to be as cold tomorrow as it was this morning. And really, no worries for Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. Do want everybody to be apprised that by the time we get into Wednesday afternoon, we are going to talk about 35 to 40 mile an hour gusts coming straight out of the south. But once again, that's warmer temperatures. That's going to be replaced, however. What we'll do is pay attention. Remember when we circled that low pressure system? Well, there we are. Wednesday afternoon, she's beginning to spread. She's beginning to widen out. And as she comes over the Rockies, if she's able to stay organized in this area right here, look at the drop in temperatures. We're talking about the negatives up in Big Sky country, bringing us snow. Now, those flurries are mainly going to stick in the northern and western portion of the 4 states. You get down into the south, you get into the east, I say you're not going to see as much snow, but what does that bring us? That also brings us the infamous wintry mix. And so that's why I'm saying I want everybody on their toes for Thursday morning. Should be done with it by Thursday afternoon. And Tanya, what we do see is not going to stick around very much, because Friday we're back above freezing and then looking like a delightful weekend. 50 on Saturday, 41 on Sunday. But once again, I'm saying these are preliminary model indications. But what I'm doing is sounding the old 72-hour alarm right now. Let's all be prepared for Thursday morning.
All right, yep, definitely. We're warning you now, be prepared.
Let's just be prepared, and join us tomorrow morning, and we're going to have a better indicator to see how this stays organized once it gets through the Rockies.
What I'm liking is that 50 on Saturday, though.
You know what? The fact that indicates rain on Saturday, we'll take that.
There we go.
Right.
All right, thanks, Michael. We take this time to honor today's 4-state hero, Second-Class Petty Officer George Ford in the U.S. Navy. The sailor from Uniontown, Kansas, served aboard the USS Essex from 1965 to 1968. He earned the Good Conduct Medal and the Vietnam Service Medal. To George Ford, we thank you, our 4-state hero. Ever wish you could serve yourself a big slice of carrot cake for breakfast? Well, it's not exactly a healthy option, but today Howard shows us how you can enjoy the taste of carrot cake in a good-for-you breakfast form. We're making carrot cake overnight oats in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
If you're like many Americans, this time of year you're looking for ways to eat better, feel better, and lose weight. So with that in mind, I want to introduce you to something that we recently came across that we thought was worth sharing. It's called overnight oats, and it goes together like this. Now, rather than cooking our oatmeal, we simply place our dry oats in a bowl along with some milk, a few add-ins and spices, and let it sit in the fridge overnight. And when it comes to options, there are no limits. Look how easy it is to create carrot cake oatmeal, which is simply some oats mixed with grated carrots, raisins, a few spices, almond milk, maple syrup, and a splash of vanilla. How easy is that? If you love peanut butter and bananas, then you'll love how we team them with our oats. If strawberry shortcake is one of your favorites, then you'll love waking up to a bowl of oatmeal that tastes just like it. To get all of these quick and easy favorites, all you have to do is go to our website and look for the recipe of the day, which includes carrot cake overnight oats, the peanut butter banana oatmeal, and our chilled strawberry shortcake oatmeal bowl. Let me tell you, this is really good. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a healthy and easy way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
It's making me hungry for oatmeal. You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at koamnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our 4-state market prices.
Still going to lean into the low 40s this afternoon as we got a couple hours before we peak out temperature-wise. So you see a whole lot of 30s right there. I think we end up around 42, 43. But remember, tomorrow morning's going to be windy. Cold front then hits on Wednesday, and I want everybody on their toes for Thursday morning.
What do we have coming up tonight at 5?
Well, at 5, President Biden meets with farmers and ranchers to discuss the administration's efforts to reduce prices in the meat processing industry. Plus, as employers begin enforcing COVID vaccine mandates or requiring weekly testing, some are wondering where they can go for that testing. There's one group working to make it as convenient as possible and no cost to you. And Pittsburgh Community Schools is holding a special election this month. We're going to check out the work district officials say needs fixed in the middle school. We hope you join us for those stories. A lot more. KOAM News at 5.
All right, thank you, Dow. Thanks for joining us for KOAM News at noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.
Salon service is provided by the Wild Side in